Welcome to another exciting episode of Nerds Day Out. Cue video card.
Another, but this is the first one.
Well, this would be the second one, but somebody fucked up. Oh wait, crap! There goes my F-bomb.
Well, you know.
Oh, now you can't steal it this time. But they don't know you did.
They do now.
Welcome to episode 1 of Nerds Day Out. This is going to be our podcast channel for comic book reviews, comic book talks, comic book related everything, and everything else.
Whatever might pique a nerd's fancy.
And whatever other random I can possibly think of.
Dude, this shirt is pretty cool.
Yeah. And this segment of Nerds Day Out, we're going to talk about the 2008 Venom. We got some catching up to do because we're at issue number 8, so we're just gonna go through the hopefully first 4 or so issues today, and then we'll get to the next 4 next week. And then hopefully we can go branch off into other comic books after that. Written by Donnie Cates and artwork by Ryan Stegman.
Yes, that was at least the first few. They switched up the artist later down the line.
Well, that's at least the first 4. So, and we are, so reading this so far, I am really just in love with the artwork, in love with the storyline, and your perspective.
I think, because you just kind of jumped back on Venom with this particular storyline with Donnie Cates writing, I think that this is a breath of fresh air and an excellent direction for Venom now. Because beforehand they did some crossovers, Spider-Man, that wasn't too bad. And then they did this really campy thing that kind of came out of the Venomverse thing with X-Men, which they kind of lost me on that. And then there was also a spin-off after that, another writer.
Well, I'll be honest, like, one of the big issues I have reading Marvel is it's all on a kind of separate timeline. And when you get crossovers, it's usually like a crossover, but it's not part of the main storyline. Or if it is part of the main storyline, it's like a weird, awkward timeline because they're not rebooting all of their comics at one time, like DC.
Well, they really haven't rebooted anybody. They just kind of.
Now.
Well, I mean, I guess technically, you could kind of consider this a reboot. It's kind of hard to tell where this one picks up from, or whatever. But I'm pretty sure he skips some of that earlier campier stuff.
Well,
for his placement for this.
Yeah. One of the things I do want to say is that I find it hard to read Venom, or did at one point, because I don't know if Venom always had his own, like, series. Like, I know, like, recently he got his own series, but
Venom's had his own series for a while, since, like, the late 90s.
Really?
Yeah. He's really one of those popular side characters who became...
I never knew, like, until this.
Yeah.
Like,
you're still kind of fairly new, though, to comic books.
I wouldn't say fairly new. I've got at least, like,
or at least
quite a few years.
At least to the Marvel side.
Well, yeah, Marvel-wise, yes. But if your overall review, without spoilers, is complete, mine is, and we can hop into it. And in issue number 1, and that's another thing that I like, that it went a little dark and it showed different things. Issue number 1, you get clips of this banging on a door and this symbiote kind of like ooze coming through, and it's what time period is this? Like Beowulf.
It's definitely like a Viking age. Like this is
Yeah.
supposed to be like well before modern era. So you know you get this really Nordic looking frames, and I just love the way the artwork is drawn here because it looks old. It definitely has that old timey flashback look to it. And everything is kind of in a haze to let you know that you're seeing it through something, you know, the eyes of something else, not your normal eyes.
That was another. Again, that's like one of the things that I appreciated about this comic was that it breathed a fresh breath of air into a already existing hero or villain, whichever you want to call it.
But Venom hasn't been a villain for years. He's a hero, dang it.
Hero, villain, anti-hero, anti-villain.
The hell is an anti-villain?
He's a villain, but not a villain. He does good things, but in villainous ways.
Like Robin.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know, I just made that up. But you get this, and they actually do drop the name Beowulf.
I started reading my tablet.
This guy. Say hi to our assistant. Not really.
Oh, lovely assistant.
But then you get this clip of Eddie Brock, and not name dropping already, but Eddie Brock wakes up and it's his nightmare, and apparently he's feeling this nightmare through the symbiote. And could you continue?
Yeah, so Eddie wakes up and he realizes that this is not a nightmare of his own, and these aren't his memories, and his symbiote's memories. Now, one of the things that you're going to see in this one that kind of was wild to me was that for the first time you see Eddie actually trying to drown out the voice of the symbiote. Now, everybody who's been well versed in Venom comics know that they have like this really, really dependent relationship, and Eddie's always afraid of being alone, and that's one of the things that he loves about the symbiote, that there's always somebody there with him. So it shows that he believes the symbiote to be sick, so now he's taking meds that I guess silences it, antipsychotics, which I guess that makes sense for antipsychotics to be able to silence something that's in your mind.
Well, not only that, but like it kind of shows how deep their relationship goes, because
he's on drugs and the symbiote's on drugs.
Yeah. So if you ever come across a symbiote or something that shares a symbiotic relationship with you that's feeding off your blood, remember, you take drugs, they take drugs.
All kinds of addicts.
And of course, he's living in squalor. One of your favorite words to use to describe this.
Because he is. He is living in absolute squalor. My man is saving the entire world. If this picks up after the X-Men stuff, he just saved the entire universe, and I didn't even know it. And my nigga has got nothing. It's literally...
Dude, like, he might actually be squatting in this apartment.
It's literally... No, he's not.
He's not?
No, he's not.
How do you know?
Because later on they mentioned about it.
And so it...
Like, look at that razor, bro. That razor's rusty. Like...
You've never shaved with a rusty razor?
I've never shaved with a razor in general.
No.
It's a godly beard. You think I should?
I trim.
Anywho,
But that's because I don't maintain.
he's still doing his whole, you know, anti-hero thing. Even though the symbiote is silenced, he still has the ability to use the symbiote how he normally would. It's just minus the secondary stuff. And the symbiote also still acts instinctively, even though not being able to speak to him.
So it goes in, and you get a villain conversation, arms deal going down. Venom, well, not Venom, Brock is there to take pictures of the cops busting it up. And well, much like all things, something goes awry. And cop gets shot by Jack-O-Lantern, and that's his name, right?
Yeah.
And swoops in Venom. But Venom's not exactly Venom. Venom is pretty much tearing this guy apart when suddenly cops show up and fire shots, and of course he just eats it like a freaking wall. And he turns around, and this, like, the first glimpse of whatever is going on that you get, and it's this, oh look, insert image. And for those that are just listening on audio, I'm so sorry you can't see this, but you should follow along in the comic. And all digital and physical comics brought to you by...
All physical comics brought to you by Augusta Book Exchange. All digitals provided by Comixology.
Thank you for the shameless plug. And it's not the red swirl on his face, and he like wraps up these cops and then grenade to the face.
I mean, you know, how else do you take down a whatever?
Rogue Venom.
Nah, it's just a whatever. I don't. This thing is like totally freaky.
Rogue symbiote.
The artwork was just superb.
Yeah.
Stegman really did his thing on a new creation of how Venom would look. Like, I mean, I never thought I would see Venom look this freaking scary.
So, funny story, that was actually my background for the longest. Now it's the white beard flag. For those that don't know.
One Piece.
One Piece, yes. Grenade to the face, kaboom, and if you don't know, Venom is weak to fire, so of course that pulls the Venom off Eddie, and I guess he kind of passes out. I mean, who wouldn't pass out from a grenade to the face, right?
I mean, but clearly, you know, the symbiote ate most of that.
Yeah. I mean, that's what it's there for.
To just eat senseless damage. I am symbiote. Watch me go boom.
Yeah. Dude, who do you think would win in the fight, symbiote or Hulk?
I'm pretty sure Hulk wins that.
Really?
It's an unlimited rage machine.
I don't know.
So put a symbiote on a Hulk, and by God.
So here's one of the issues I have with Hulk being all powerful.
He's not all powerful.
I know he's not. There are issues where he gets his ass handed to him by Ben Grimm. You know, the Thing.
That's just fantastic.
It's clobbering time. You know, the shameless thing that they refuse to make another movie of.
That has never happened outside of the Fantastic Four book.
I'm just saying. That's like saying Batman beats up Superman all the time. Or Superman beats Flash in a race.
It's happened.
Yeah. Doesn't mean it was actual effort put in.
Yeah, I'm just saying. So Eddie awakes to being trapped in a room with a furnace. And there's a gentleman in the room with him who knocked him out with said grenade earlier.
And, well, Rex Coat name drop. Before they actually drop names in the comic. But he's questioning him, trying to figure out what's going on. And because he thought he was somebody else. He thought he was, crap, what's that astronaut?
He thought he was Flash Thompson at first.
Yeah. Obviously not. I'm pretty sure they're two different builds, too. Flash and Eddie?
What do you mean?
Like, body-wise.
Pretty slow. Venom's never actually looked like Venom when he was with Flash, though.
Continue. I'm gonna look this up.
Just look up Agent Venom.
That?
Yeah, that's Agent Venom.
I mean, it's Venom-ish.
It looks like an agent suit.
Yeah, more militarized.
Yes.
And then Rex goes on to explain to Eddie what's really going on behind the scenes, and now he's trying to recruit him because he needs his help to free the rest of the symbiotes that are being experimented on and used as weapons by
SHIELD. Because why not? SHIELD's behind everything, right? SHIELD is the most world-savingest, assholest organization ever. Like, they mess up so much stuff.
So I have a serious question, and this might be a little bit spoiler for those who haven't read, so pause here, skip ahead probably like 2 minutes.
Isn't this whole thing spoiler?
Well, yeah. But this is spoiling ahead, like way ahead.
Okay.
If Rex is what he is, why did he keep the scar?
What do you... Oh, maybe he's
Right
scarred.
there.
Maybe he is scarred.
The thing? I mean, it's possible, but he would...
It's mental scars.
I guess.
Where are those scars?
I guess.
It adds
Anyway.
character.
Anyway, back to where we were.
He tells them about this whole operation in Vietnam and how he was a lead of...
You're skipping.
No, I'm right here.
No. Oh, wait. Yeah, he does go into Vietnam at this part, and I'm thinking you're skipping to where we find out who Rex really is.
Nah. This is, the squad he's telling you about Vietnam or whatever and how he was experimented and that there's others. So,
And again, this goes back into that whole... If you grew up watching Spider-Man when you were younger, they lied to you, bro. Venom was always here. Venom's like an extraterrestrial that was always here, that built the pyramids in ancient Egypt.
What? Where did you get this false information? This show is sponsored by... Never mind, I'm not going to do that.
Alright, side story.
That is fake news.
Side story. If you want to hear more, click this link right here in the YouTubes. If you want to hear more on Spotify or just in the audio section, I'll put a link maybe in the description if I can. If not, it'll be in episode 1.5.
Don't forget to visit us on our Patreon. Give us monies. Did we do a Patreon yet? No Patreon. Give us monies anyway. We don't care.
Actually, you can subscribe on YouTube. Also, if we ever do like a live YouTube stream, you can donate. So, just FYI.
FY Izzle. Alright, so boom, boom, boom. You get this whole story or whatever. Side note, there's also a spinoff for that. So if you're reading this Venom, be sure to check out Web of Venom Venom. It's a one shot. It gives you a little bit more about this Rex character and his background.
And if you're too lazy to go to your local comic book store or down to the local comic book exchange here in Augusta, you can always check out those digital copies on Comixology.com.
Yeah, but I mean, I always feel like it's just a waste to just buy the digital.
It is.
At least for Marvel comics.
Especially with Marvel. If you don't know, Marvel Comics does give you the digital for free with your purchase of a physical copy. So always go pick up your physical copy if you really want to read it. And worst case scenario, you can just re-gift those digital codes to somebody else as long as they're still valid. They do expire.
Within a year. Year of printing.
I mean, you know. This is all 2008, so you can still get your digitals for number 1 all the way up until current. So, remember. So, back to where we were. Brock is now in the tunnel, and there are trucks approaching. And he is about to don the Venom suit, and this gets really badass really quickly.
And he lowers the shoulder. Kirkpatrick!
Kirkpatrick?
Look at that.
You mean Kilpatrick?
Completely destroys the front end.
You know, that's one of the things I always want to, like, do. I know that sounds terrible.
Always wanted to lower the shoulder on a Mack truck? You, my sir, have some dangerous fantasies.
Not just a Mack truck, on, like, a car. In general. Just like, hey, where are you going? Stop that. So, Eddie breaks down the trucks, dispatches whatever living soldiers or fighting soldiers are left, walks up to the back of the truck, and kaboom. Out comes 1, 2, 3, 4 more symbiotes. I want to call it Venom, but
yeah, 4 more symbiotes.
Venoms.
4 more symbiotes, and they're all in that crazed form that you saw Venom in earlier. Which is, you know, at this point, it's making you wonder what the heck is really going on here.
And if you didn't see it earlier, but they're speaking like this weird language, and they tell you what it means a little bit later. Spoiler alert! If you want to know now, you can say, if you want to spoil it for now instead of later, you can. But when they come out of the truck, you see Brock's symbiote kind of like come off of him, even though they're surrounded by fire. They're just not giving a fuck. Crap.
They're surrounded by fire, and it's just like, shh, what? Bump this fire. I'm gonna come. Open up a can. So he gets barreled down on by these symbiotes. He's getting barreled down on by this symbiote, and it, you know, these guys seem to have that same ability that you see on like Carnage or Riot, the ability to make blades and shape their arms. So he catches one, blink, straight through the chest. And this has got to be the wildest thing that I've ever seen from the symbiotes, because, I mean, we know that Venom is what helps keep Eddie alive and allows him to take such an ass kicking to keep going. But this has got to be the first time I've ever seen the symbiote completely just like reconstruct a portion of him like this.
Yep. Eddie's down. These symbiotes come off of their husk of host, combined into earth, fire, wind, water, and heart, and form Captain Dragon symbiote thing. That was actually too many. I couldn't think of anything that had like 4 things to combine. And that's where issue 1 ends, and then we go to issue number 2.
With an ominous phrase. God. God is coming.
Yeah, because the symbiote actually can translate that now because he knows what it means. I guess it's the weird communication that he had with them, the 4 symbiotes. And like he was saying, and I should probably silence my cell phone. Symbiote, the Venom symbiote is basically going into Brock and reconstructing all of the arteries and everything to keep Brock alive. Because, as we said when this issue first started, this episode first started, they have some weird special connection that just can't die. Kind of like hair bands.
I didn't redeem a couple digitals. What digital number 4 is?
And while he's doing that, I'm just gonna keep going. And Brock gets these weird flashbacks. I guess where he first bonded with the symbiote, and then I don't remember seeing this, where he's fighting this giant robot. And it goes back to the symbiote again, reconstructing Brock. Brock wakes up, hacks up blood, and Rex is at a computer, and he's looking at these old pictures and going through everything, and walks Brock, and symbiote is in control and is crazy.
Boom, boom, boom. Obviously, because he's pissed. We just had our entire chest blown the hell out and our heart removed, and we had to do some reconstruction. And you set us up. It's pretty much what Eddie and the symbiote is thinking right now. You set us the hell up because you knew, and you sent us out here anyway, blind. And that means that you have to pay for what you did.
And I think part of Brock, or maybe the Venom, like, kind of realizes what they're doing, takes control and rips the furnace door that they've backed Rex into off, and kind of shoves their face in to regain control.
Are you sure that's what happened?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Right here.
Go back up.
Rex.
Yeah, so I guess Brock got him to do it. Brock must have did it.
Yeah, and then it pans up. Brock takes control, pans over to them watching the news like, you know, this didn't just happen. And, Rick and Frag. Rex is retelling his Venom stories. Venom's. Vietnam.
Venom is fun. I mean, that's what the one-off is called.
Yeah. He's retelling the Venom stories, or part of it at least. Check out that one-off issue. And, again, going through and explaining everything, and at this point, it's safe to assume that he was kind of forcefully injected into the Venom program, and he's explaining
the things that he felt, what he saw as he was being overcome by the symbiote the first time. How it felt to be plunged into the symbiote in the hive mind. Now, mind you, for whatever reason, the way this seems to happen, be explained, is that the symbiotes are all part of one hive mind, and they're all linked together. But for whatever reason, Venom has not been part of this link. Something happened with Venom that has kept him separate from this link.
And we are not doing updates because we don't use freaking iTunes. And then pan over into our Captain Dragon symbiote thing, terrorizing the city, and off goes Brock to save the day, because that's what anti-heroes, heroes, and anti-villains do. They save days, whether you like it or not. And he's standing on a rooftop, watching the destruction, trying to formulate a plan, when pow!
Right in the kiss.
That was more of a sneak attack. Actually, that's exactly what that was. It was a sneak attack. Spider-Man.
Spider-Man?
Yes.
What?
That Spider-Man, the one with the black suit.
Miles Morales.
I don't know why I always think W.
I have no idea.
I guess because Miles Morales is like the equivalency of my Wally West, I guess.
Miles Morales, Spider-Man. Comes in with the flying dropkick.
Right to the back of the dome, and issue number 3 picks up with... As soon as it loads.
Batman running across the screen.
Yes it is. It picks up with
I've got a website to read main on now too.
Oh yeah?
Yes. I'm gonna be starting Tokyo Ghoul.
I need to, and I started it, but I have so much to read right now. And I'll probably be reading tonight and tomorrow and Friday and the rest of the weekend. And I also need to. Juke what?
Juke joint. It's kind of weird.
Alright, we're at issue number 3. Come on, we got this. We're at 30 minutes.
Alright, issue number 3. What happened?
It picks up with
Eddie got drop kicked in the back of the head.
Yeah, and it picks up with Eddie, kind of like in this. I don't know. I guess this is where he goes when Venom is going crazy.
I guess.
But he's in like a web of symbiote.
And we've got the return of Berserker Venom.
Is that what you're calling that?
That's clearly a Berserker form, bro. That is like Berserker all day.
And he's hovering over Miles, and Miles hits him with the left hook and grabs his tongue and shocks the crap out of him. And little tidbit, if you didn't read issue number 1, you should go back, because there's a lightning bolt during that flashback scene that kind of tells you that the symbiotes might be weak to electricity as well. Or lightning, whatever.
So let's just add a weakness.
Yeah.
Sure, why not?
Symbiote breaks off of Eddie long enough for him to gain control. Miles comes in trying to wail on him, and he gets a few punches in, and then on goes the symbiote. And we're not having this no more. And Eddie throws him into a wall, and... Dude, what is that? I seriously want to know, what is he using to stick people?
It's web, what do you mean?
So the symbiote produces web?
Symbiote does a lot of shit.
Okay.
I mean, come on, dude. You're seriously wondering how the symbiote is producing web, but you don't really want to care or ask what the hell happened to the 20,000 bullets he just got shot into him earlier?
I imagine it catches them, then just bloop on the ground. Speaking of bullets, I got an early Christmas gift.
Bullets?
He brought me a fully loaded 30-round magazine.
Congratulations.
Yeah. He said he was going to bring more, but he didn't feel like going through the closet. Anyway. And Brock is, again, staring at Captain Dragon, symbiote thing.
Captain Dragon, he's the hero.
Gonna take the city down to 0.
So, you got this dragon Godzilla thing in the background doing all kinds of Mothra stuff. And Venom is like, hey, Miles, how about you not try and kick my ass and help me kick this thing's ass? So basically, he asked him about that power pack, whatever they used to sting him. And could they be able to use that against the symbiote? Or does he have more? Of course he has more, so they formulate a plan to try and take down the dragon.
And...
Turn page.
And Dragon is flying, being shot by rockets, helicopters, tanks, everything under the sun.
I just feel like they were all in there. You're like, Gojira! Gojira!
Kind of. I mean, if you were in Japan, I'd call that God. That's more of a Mothra.
I don't give it's a giant something. It's I'm shooting all these missiles and whatever else I got at it. No,
and
works.
Venom and Miles are swinging, and Venom and Spider-Man, I guess you call them, are swinging in, and Venom intentionally crosses up the web with Miles and gets Miles eaten. And
The bastard.
I know, right? But it was all part of his plan to use him as bait and blow up the dragon's head. Oh wait, this is issue number 3. Alright, head blows up and it's just raining ooze and symbiote and byproduct and whatever else he might have eaten in the last, couple hours. And out comes this gnarly person called, no spoilers yet, carrying Miles.
By the head.
Yeah, by the head. And he goes, I guess this belongs to you.
Yeah, man. You know what? Is this your shit?
And helicopter comes in, and this guy, I guess, is attached. Obviously, he's attached because he's still connected to the dragon. And he lifts an arm, and he
Swats away this helicopter.
Yeah.
So what he's showing you now is that he essentially has control over the symbiote. The symbiote does what he wants, regardless of whether he's
swatted
covered or
away.
not.
He grabs it out of the air. Like that again. That just goes to show like the size of this dragon, because like he's holding it like this in the dragon's arm / hand. And it's like a toy in the hand, and it's like, I don't know if anybody's ever been next to a helicopter. They're pretty big. You do not want to be under a helicopter when it goes down. That's all I'll say.
Alright, so, they asked him to put it down. Obviously, that means some villainy is afoot. Kablooey. He blows it up. That makes Venom snap again. He's in this berserker mode. This time, though, you kind of see him transforming from his regular mode into that berserker mode. And this creature god guy has got his, this smile on his face, waiting for him to attack. And Venom goes in, and then you realize he's not really there.
You know what that smile reminds me of?
Your face. Oh
No.
What?
The Batman Who Laughs.
Yeah, I guess I can see that. It's wild as hell.
Yeah. Side note, if you want to see us or hear us go over Dark Knight Metals, drop us a like or a comment. If you don't want to hear us talk about it, too bad, because I'm probably going to end up doing it anyway.
I didn't say anything.
I want to talk about it. I think it would be great to go over it.
You guys can also suggest to us some series to read that you guys might find interesting.
In the comments. And I don't know what that was. He just like repelled him away with his hand, like force palm pushed him away, and the symbiote just like, again, that raining ooze symbiote down around Brock. And he kind of calls the symbiote over like a pet, and he reprograms it at this point.
Oh, mighty push. Yeah, this is basically what I was talking about. So apparently, like, he determines that the reason why Venom is so separated from the Hive and so much different from everyone else is that he'd actually been infected with humanity. He'd been amongst the humans too long, and we rubbed off on him, and he's been infected with love and humanity. So, Null is now trying to burn it away. Which, by the way, after he starts burning away the symbiote, this is when we find out what his actual name is. He tells Eddie Brock as he's like violating his entire skull with his tongue.
That is his tongue. That is so gross. Right up his nose.
He is violating his whole
Null.
head with his tongue. I am Null. And you see him on this awesome throne.
In the middle of space, surrounded by symbiotes.
In the middle of nothingness, surrounded by nothingness, and a void of nothingness.
And
which is not actually nothingness, it's my darkness, which is alive.
My camera's dying, so if you don't get video for the rest of this, then that's why. Sorry, not sorry. I forgot to charge my batteries.
Even worse.
I meant to because I'm supposed to do a photo shoot for a friend this week.
Yeah. Scroll.
Issue number 4 picks up, and Null is talking to Brock and showing Brock things where he shows him that he was there, he was the first, he was the original. I mean, unless there was some other god that created the universe. And then in comes Light with these other gods. And Null basically like creates this, that's so weird because I swear that's his hand that he reaches into and then pulls that out.
So, this issue is, for the vast part, background and backstory about the character Null, which is a really, really cool character. If you haven't read this, like I said, this issue in itself is definitely a must-read just for the lore that they set up for the symbiotes. It's definitely a must-read for any symbiote fan. Essentially, Null, like he said, is the first. He was just there in the darkness, which wasn't emptiness or anything. It was a living darkness. It was his shadow or whatever. And then in comes the Celestials, and they're wanting to create life because, this is a void darkness. And this essentially, Null, like he said, is the first. He was just there in the darkness, which wasn't emptiness or anything. It was a living darkness. It was his shadow or whatever. And then in comes the Celestials, and they're wanting to create life because, this is a void darkness and this is empty. So let's just go ahead and fill this up with some stuff, right? So what they do is they get to filling this up, and they lock Null away. They say, well, we don't need you here because we're creating stuff and you're being a hassle. They lock him away. And in this anger, while being locked away, he refuses to let these guys live. He will kill these Celestials. And he creates himself, a god-killing weapon, he creates all black, the symbiote sword. So this would actually be the first symbiote of his creation, the sword here that he uses to kill and slay the Celestials. And he hammers it and flames it in the fires of eternity in the universe or whatever. And so they say that this, because of the hard treatment and the work that he put into malleating and making the symbiotes malleable to become a sword, those things stuck with the symbiotes throughout the rest of their generations as their weakness. So now you have the background story as to why the symbiotes are sensitive to certain sound waves and fire.
So, also, I like to throw this in, but like, I thought it was cool that he made a blade. I didn't think about this before, because that kind of explains why some of the symbiotes are able to like form into like sharp objects, and others aren't. I'd also like to point out that if you're following along in the comic, if you see the image of Noel like slaying these foot soldiers, he still has the spider logo on his chest.
Yeah, I noticed that too. Even when he first emerged from the dragon, though, he had the logo on his chest.
Yeah, I don't. Why is that?
Bad writing? I don't want to say bad writing because Don Cates is doing a great job with his writings. Maybe, I guess, poor. I don't know.
Well,
I don't know.
Technically that's not bad writing. That would be artwork. Ryan Stegman, if you're out there watching or listening, could you explain to us why you did that?
Poor attention to detail. I mean, I guess you want to make sure that they know that it's a symbiote that he's wearing.
I mean, but you don't need. I guess kind of. Otherwise, it'd just look like clothing. It would just look like a black T-shirt, much like the one he's wearing.
This is actually a symbiote.
Funny enough, I'm wearing your Spider-Man jacket. That was intentional. And Noel is just slicing through foot soldiers until he gets into a fight with, I don't know who that is. But he falls to a planet and back to Brock, and he wants to know more. And Noel lands on this planet and sees life, kind of like a different side of life, I guess.
Mm-hmm. When he fell, that's when he lost the blade, which became the first symbiote that someone, which led to the first host of a symbiote.
Is that a comic?
What?
First host.
First host? Yes.
That was a spinoff with Thor, right?
No. First host is a Venom spinoff right now, but it shows the very first host to have been worn the Venom suit. The first symbiote is Gore the God Butcher.
Okay. And again, Nolan's telling him about how he crash landed on this planet and how he just started popping out symbiotes. Just like, ooh, here's a symbiote, ooh, here's a symbiote, ooh. And he basically creates a horde of these. And I'm sitting on a throne because these are my symbiotes. I sent them out into space. That explains why this dragon thing was on Earth. And again, back to our Nordic Beowulf scenario of
the Grendel. They actually call that thing the Grendel.
Yeah, they call her Grendel. Attacking a castle, I'm going to assume. And I don't know who this Beowulf character is in this, or why they thought he could fuck with the symbiote, or this dragon symbiote, whatever you want to call it, to actually help them win, survive, whatever you want to call it. But basically, it breaks through the door, starts munching on people, and then here comes in another hero. And side story time. Bum, bum, bum. Lightning bolt. It's Thor. Huh?
I said they thought it was Beowulf.
You wish it was Beowulf. And Thor lightning strike was so powerful that Null felt it millions and millions and billions and billions, billions and billions.
He came through with a lightning bolt for that ass. As they would say in the comics, crack a boom.
Billions and billions and billions.
So he
Was
said,
that a good Donald Trump impersonation? I don't know.
let's not get political. He severed the ties from
No. With
and
Randall?
the rest. No, the Hive.
Huh?
That lightning bolt and the light severed.
Wait. So that lightning bolt is what started everything. So, like, Null lost all control of every symbiote.
At that point, yes.
Wow. Okay. Oh,
And,
yeah.
that's when they turned on him.
And
They turned on him and they locked him away. And you get one of the most deep and relevant mentions for the symbiote race. You find out that all this time we thought the symbiotes were known as the Clintar because that was the name of their race. But it turns out, no. Clintar is actually their name for cage. And they have been keeping Null caged inside of a cage of symbiotes. The entire planet Clintar is actually just one gigantic symbiote ball-like cage. Could you imagine being buried underneath billions of symbiotes?
I imagine it's kind of like being wrapped in warm water. Or maybe cold water.
Saran wrapped ass nigga.
Yeah, that might actually be a closer example.
Saran wrap.
Yeah, being saran wrapped. Anybody want to volunteer as tribute?
Matt. Excuse me.
And you explained all that. And Miles is waking up and comes in with the lightning bolt punch to the face of Null. And for the first time, you see Null actually take damage because Null isn't actually there. It's actually just a symbiote taking the shape of Null. But again, this is like that whole new weakness to lightning. And it's reshaping, and it's kind of weird and gross if you're actually reading it.
Man, this is, Stegman's doing this thing right.
Yeah.
He's showing you, he's making some real grotesque changes. And he's really bringing the horror element to Venom with this.
And Miles starts to rip open whatever they've been surrounded in, and you realize that they've been inside the dragon this whole time. And where's this dragon, you might ask? Flying above the city.
Flying above the city.
Or the entire planet.
I'm gonna say, that man is in space. You hear me? Space symbiote. I guess that's kind of redundant, though. Space symbiote.
Yeah, kind of. And that's pretty much where
that's gonna be our time for today. So, wrapping up today, episode 1, Venom, part 1 of the Donny Cates run.
And Ryan Stegman.
Yes, Ryan Stegman on the art. So I realized Ryan Stegman has done the art all the way up through issue 7. And issue 8 is when we have this change with Iban Coelho? I don't know.
Somebody correct his pronunciation in the comments or Snapchat or Twitter. Dude, I have like every social media. Contact me to correct pronunciation.
I don't care. But you can contact him.
I'm OCD.
So, yes. So this wraps up part 1 of this Donny Cates run discussion. We'll be continuing in our next episode, which will be probably finishing out the final 4 remaining issues. Can't wait. You gotta. So that gives you time to read this issue 8.
Since I'll probably read
issue
that.
8.
sometime this week and I'll read it. Unless you want to, like, record early.
I can't wait until issue 9 comes out. You gotta see what's going on.
So, hopefully this will go up sometime this week. It just depends on how long it takes me to snip everything together so it's nice and form-fitting. And figure out how to upload to Spotify. But if you liked what you saw here, or if you didn't, click that subscribe button. Follow me. Instagram, Twitter, Twitch. Shameless plugs.
This has been an episode of Nerds Day Out. Until next time.
Keep it nerdy.